wonderful artsy friends, it's me Andrea Gomoll from Creative Creations, and today I'd like to share a little product review with you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it because lately on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Amazon, I kind of stumbled across an art brand pretty often that I have never worked with before. So I was really excited when the brand Arteza contacted me and asked if I would like to test some of their products, because if you know me, you know that I'm a total art supply junkie. And that I love to test new art supplies, to play with new art supplies, and to possibly discover new favorites, new favorite supplies, new favorite brands, especially brands which are easily available in Europe as well, because some of my favorite art supply brands are pretty hard to get here in Germany, so you sometimes have to order them from overseas and have them shipped in. So with Arteza, I'm really excited to test that, to test the supplies. And first things first, I don't think it is necessary to mention that. If you know me, if you are one of my students, or if you are a long-term follower, you know that I always share my honest opinion about everything. If I like something, I do like something. And if I don't like something, then I also share that with you, because I think, what good would it be if I would recommend something to you and in the end it's crap? It would kind of fall back on me, right? So be sure, even though I got those supplies sent for free, I have to mention that, to test them and to share my opinion about it and to work with them. Of course, I will do this in a very neutral way, this review. So if I like something, I will share it. But of course, if there's something that I don't like about these supplies, I will share that with you as well. So expect an honest review. That's for me one of the most important things, actually, if brands or businesses approach me about reviewing or testing a product. I want to be able to share my honest opinion about the supplies. So I will show you real quick what I got, and I think I will split this into two parts maybe, because they're actually two main things that I would like to test. Arteza, they have many different art supplies, so if you are into acrylics, if you are into colored pencils, whatever, check out the website if you want to. They have a wide range of art supplies. I, of course, went into the watercolor direction, because if you know me, you know that watercolors are my thing. Watercolors are what my heart beats for, and watercolors are the supply that I test ran, that I tested enough over the years to be able to really form a good opinion about a product, if it is good or not good or mediocre. So first of all, I picked this 36 pen watercolor set. So this is actually the first thing that I would like to give a good test run. It holds 36 half pens. So that's the first thing, actually, that I would like to test. And the second thing are this is 48 pieces set of watercolor markers of real brush pens. And I'm really especially excited about testing those, because if you know me, you know that I love sorry guys, my voice that I love to work with rebrush pens. So far I always work with those rebrush pens by Zig, and of course I would be totally excited to find a good alternative for those. And those look exactly the same up until that point, and I'm super excited to give them a good test run and see if they perform as good as my favorite brush pens, real brush pens, because that would be really, really, really amazing. Because I would be able to get my hands on them here in Germany easier. You know what I mean. Yeah, and they also sent me those cutie patootie little teeny tiny watercolor books, which I'm really excited about because they have the perfect size for sketching and watercoloring on the go. You know that I love urban sketching. I love to be outside and do some watercoloring. So those have the perfect size to drop them into your purse and take them with you, along with an aqua brush and a teeny tiny travel palette, and you're good to go. So I'm really excited about testing those, checking out the papers, seeing if it is any good. And talking about watercolors, of course you need some paper to work on. So I got those DIN A4 size sheets of watercolor paper. And I already opened that. It comes in a set of 2, and what I really love by now is that they have 2 sides, one which is a little textured and one is a little more smooth. So I'm excited to work on this paper as well with of course we're still missing some brushes. They also have some fun aqua brushes, water brushes in their what is it called, assortment, in their range. Yeah, so I'm really excited about testing those as well, because you know, if you know me, you know that I'm so in love with aqua brushes. I use them all the time, and so far I tested so many aqua brushes, and the only one that I I really am in love with is those Pentel aqua brushes up until that point. So I am really curious to see if those can come close to those, and maybe I find a new favorite. I would be so excited about this because they also have pretty good prices actually. So can't wait to test that. Yeah, so those are the supplies that I received to test, and I think we will get started now with part number 1, and I think I will just give the watercolor set, the half pen set, a good test run, check out the colors, the pigments, how they perform on the watercolor paper, and maybe in the teeny tiny cute watercolor books. So I will yeah, flip the camera around, and I think we will just get started and see how I like them. Okay, so the 36 watercolors set by Arteza comes in this nice sturdy metal tin, which I really love. I love metal tins. Totally prefer them over those plastic palettes like this one by Winsor Newton, the Cogman Watercolors. I really don't like this plastic tin, or not tin, plastic container. Another thing that I hate about this set is that those little boxes, they totally fall out of the palette. Probably should glue them in. Haven't bothered to do so just yet. So this is already a pro for me, coming in a metal tin, and then you open it up and you have this sheet telling you the yeah, the names of the different colors. Yep. Let me just check first of all. That's one thing. Yeah, they don't fall out. That's really love that. So they kind of hold nicely. Those little flaps hold them nicely in place where they're supposed to be. Let me just peel one out here. Yeah, that's one thing that I dislike a little. You should because if I have the names and the colors and I do my color swatch, I like to have the color names, or at least the numbers. Like on here they are named and numbered. Like this one is the Prussian blue. I like to have this printed on the little containers somewhere, because sometimes if you travel with them, or if they fall off the table, I don't know, they do fall out of the palette, and then they all get kind of mixed up, and sometimes it is really hard to put them back into the right place, especially if you think of all those like oranges and reds here, and some of the browns, those greens. So I really love to have like the names, or at least the numbers of the colors on the little container. Like here, again with Winsor & Newton, it has the color and the name and the item number printed on the little pen here, which is also great if you ran out of one color and you want to buy that separate. So let's say I'm running out of this color, and you can just take it and see which color it is. So, but you could of course just grab like a little waterproof pen and write the color number onto the containers. That's what I will do. Yeah, other than that, they look pretty neat, nicely filled up to the top. And I think, if I see this right, they are not like filled, they are not poured into the containers, so it's not like as if you use the tubes and fill the little containers, but they are, I guess, pre-dried and then cut into the right size and then pressed into those little containers. You can see that. But that's totally fine. Doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, so I think I will just get started with some color swatches, seeing how they perform. And I really like it that this tin is lying flat on the table here, this mixing palette, because sometimes it's just not lying flat. Let me just grab this one, where it is slightly angled downwards, and the colors are kind of running into that direction if you use this as a mixing palette. So I really appreciated that this is kind of really lying flat on the table, so I can nicely use this for mixing. Yeah, so first I decided to do some color swatching. That's usually the first thing that I start with whenever I get a new set of watercolors, or whenever I get a new color into my selection of watercolors. I love to play around with them on paper to see how they work on the paper, how they behave, how they blend, how pigmented the colors are, and how vibrant they are, and how they change color when they dry. So those are important things for me, which you can't tell by looking at the watercolors just in the pens. Okay, swatching them on the paper, on watercolor paper that I usually use, gives me a pretty good idea of the quality of the colors. And to be honest, I was really impressed with the colors. First of all, I love the vibrant selection of the colors in this set. I was very impressed with how juicy and vibrant they stay when they dry, because some other colors, they become really dull when they dry. So I was really happy about that. They are pretty high pigmented actually, especially for the price point. If you consider that one of those little half pens actually is around $1, so this whole 36 set is around $35–36, which is a very, very good price point actually for the quality that you get and for the selection that you get. So definitely a big pro, especially if you're just starting out and don't want to invest in a super expensive set in the beginning, because maybe you don't know if you stick with the watercolors, or you just want to learn and you're afraid to to use like the super expensive watercolors. So I think for the price they are very, very good. And now you can see me swatching a little sheet that I always do, that I put into my box, into my container, into my watercolor palette, to have them with me whenever I use the colors, whenever I use the palette. I know which color is which and how they look on the paper. Yeah, and then it just makes it so much easier to pick the right colors if you're working on an actual project. And then I decided I want to do some testing, some playing to see how they behave on the paper. First of all, wet in wet, so I kind of wetted my paper, added some water to the paper, and then dabbed in the pigment to see how they flow, if they flow good. Because for me, I really like colors that do this, that kind of spread out on the paper nicely, especially for landscapes, for universe, for all this kind of stuff. I really enjoy this this property of watercolors, that they kind of do their own thing. And then you can see that I'm comparing it to the Winsor & Newton watercolors, and to some watercolors from Schminke, the Schminke Horadam watercolors. So on the top left you see the Arteza. Now on the right I'm using the Winsor & Newton watercolors in direct comparison, and then I'm using some Schminke watercolors in comparison. And yeah, if it comes to the flowability, is that a word? I don't know. The Arteza watercolors were okay, but you can see, for example, now the Schminke Horadam watercolors, they do flow and bleed on the paper a lot better actually than the Arteza. So that's for me a little downside. They don't bleed and float as good on the paper. As you can see, the Prima watercolor set that I'm testing here, they kind of give you a lot more of this like flowing effect on the paper, if you see this compared. But again, if you want to use it for coloring in, and if you are not looking for this ability of the watercolors, that they can do their own thing and then float on the paper, then they are perfect. Especially if you're a beginner, this is like the scary part actually, that the watercolors do float on the paper and go wherever they want to. And if you don't know how to manipulate and keep them in the places where you want them to be, right, then this is a little bit scary. So especially for beginners, I think they're pretty good. And now you see me just glazing the colors here again in comparison, comparing the Arteza to the Schminke Schminke Horadam and the Winsor & Newton, oh my gosh, and to the Prima set here, just like a normal wet on dry glaze here, different intensities, so different water pigment ratios. And yeah, actually there's not that big of a difference. I really liked it. It kind of dried a little bit streaky, but I can totally live with that. And if you work with watercolors, you know that kind of each brush stroke is different. And if you load your brush with just a teeny tiny bit more pigment or a tiny bit more water, it looks slightly different. So the overall glaze, I really like the result here of the Arteza, which you can see at the top. It's pretty intense in the dark areas. You can nicely do like a light wash with them, so I was really happy about that. And now I decided to go in and test them on an actual project, to do a little bit like a night sky, nighttime, a landscape scene here, just a very quick simple one with some like northern lights. So because again the flowability is that a word? I don't know. I wasn't too impressed with that, so I definitely wanted to see how they perform in a project where I need a lot of this, and not, which kind of relies on that ability of watercolors, right? And in the end, I wasn't like I wasn't disappointed actually. It was okay. They do float a little. But again, if you're looking for that ability of watercolors, I think there are better sets out there, but on the other hand, they're more expensive. So for that price point, they definitely do the job, right? And as you can see, it actually created a pretty nice effect. But especially in this case, I realized that when they dry, they stay vibrant, but they kind of dry with a little bit of a like a chalky finish, actually. Can see that in the sky, especially in the lighter gray, on the gray mixes here, because I used the black for the sky and it really dried a little chalky, which is okay. I just have to know that they do this, right? So I was actually happy with the result. It was better than I expected it actually after the swatching, but if you can see the comparison to for example, this one I created this with Daniel Smith watercolors. You can definitely see that this is a lot more juicy compared to this one, and the colors flowed better. Okay, but again, it's totally fine. It's maybe not a 10 on a scale, but I would say like a 7 to a 8. So totally fine for the price point. And if you know that this is not their best performance point, then that's totally fine.
Okay, so for this next one, I'm gonna try the Arteza water brushes. Just unpack them and let me just check the different type of brush tips here. So we have 3 round ones, a small, medium and a large size. And we have 3 flat ones, again small, medium and large. And to be honest, I never worked with flat water brushes or flat aqua brushes before, because so far I only used the Pentel aqua brushes, the round tip ones. But in general I work with flat brushes not that much. However, I'm going to give them a go, give them a try for this painting. So I'm going to fill them up with water, and then we're going to use the Arteza watercolor palette to color this girl portrait here, which I just sketched out.
And I'm working on the Arteza watercolor paper here, which is a pretty nice set of 32 sheets, and they're also in a very, very good price range actually. And first of all, I'm super happy with that paper. I really love it for that price point. It is wonderful. It is a wonderful watercolor paper if you don't want to invest like too much, because you know watercolor paper can be super expensive, even one sheet of it. And especially again if you're a beginner or just don't have the money to spend on paper, like spending a fortune on paper, then this is a very, very good choice. I was really, really happy with that paper. Yeah, and then I just went in, used the water brushes, and I'm really happy with them actually. I didn't expect that, because again I tested so many aqua brushes before and I was never happy with any of them except for the Pentel aqua brush. But this one actually works pretty nice, and I decided to give that flat brush tip a try for the background. I kind of wanted this kind of harsh contrast between the soft girl portrait and a very rough, harsh background, and I really like the effect actually, because usually I do a lot of soft blending in the background. I love that soft background, but I kind of really like that effect and that like contrast between the soft portrait and the rough background. Yeah, and the aqua brushes, they kind of need a little bit of getting used to if you're used to the Pentel aqua brushes, for example, because they are a little longer, and that little red thing where I'm holding my fingers there is an area which is soft where you need to push a little to keep the water flowing, and this is only on 2 sides of that brush, so you always have to hold it in the correct direction, let's put it that way. So that needed a little bit of getting used to. But yeah, even when I started out with this portrait, it was kind of difficult and I wasn't sure if I liked it. But already by the end of the portrait, I love the brush actually, and I'm definitely gonna add it to my travel set because yeah, I'm really happy with it. And again, very, very good price point. So definitely really like them. And the colors, as you can see, you can layer them beautifully, and I really, really love them for coloring in. And for girl portraits, like in this case, I don't need to take advantage of the flowability of watercolors that much. And if you don't need that, like that, what is it called, that aspect of the watercolors, like for landscape, for example, for coloring in like stamped images or drawn images, portraits, they are perfect. And I really love the soft look. I love that purple for the hair, and I love that chalky finish actually, especially for a portrait like this. So I was really happy with how this turned out, and I had a lot of fun using the colors. And for me, that's like super important. If I enjoy using a product, then for me that's a big, big thumbs up. Yeah, so let me give you my final final opinion about the Arteza watercolor set real quick, now that I tried out the colors, tried to use them for different techniques, for like a landscape painting and for a portrait. To be honest, I'm actually pretty impressed with this watercolor set. I really love the colors. I love how rich and intense they are, and they also stay that way once they dry. Of course, like watercolors always dry a little lighter, but some watercolors, they really dry very, very dull. They almost kind of lose their vibrancy. But those, as you can see, this is now, I think, 4 or 5 days old. So it is like still really, really pretty, beautiful, great selection of colors. And they dry really chalky. That's another thing that I really love, because some watercolors, they kind of dry like a teeny tiny bit shiny, I have the feeling. And those dry really, really chalky. They give you a nice soft chalky finish, which I love as well. Again, I did those tests, color coverage and comparing it to other watercolors. The only little downside for those watercolors is the, what is the word, flowability? The way they kind of work if you use them on wet paper, because especially for landscape paintings, I really like watercolors to really flow and yeah, do their thing, you know. And as you can see, I also tested this with a blue, a green, a yellow. They don't float that much, if you want to call it like that, like compared, as you can see, compared to, for example, to other watercolors, okay, to the Winsor & Newton and the Schmink watercolors. So that's the only downside. If you are looking for a watercolor set or watercolors that really, really, really have a good flow, then maybe they're not the best choice. However, that's for me, that's the only downside, because you can still get them to flow with a little bit of manipulating. My gosh, what a word. And so here, as you can see, I just really dabbed it on and wanted to check what they do all on their own, all by themselves, without manipulating it with a brush or something, okay? So yeah, and other than that, for the portrait, I definitely really love the result. Again, I totally love that that soft chalky feeling. Really, really like the result. It's really beautiful. I love the colors. So for me, for this set altogether, especially at that price point, I would definitely give it a thumbs up. Really love them. Definitely gonna continue to use them. Great selection. And yeah, for me it is it's a really great set for beginners, but also if you're already a little advanced with watercolors. I can't say a lot about the light fastness just yet because, again, I'm not using them for a long time. I have no artwork exposed to light for a longer time, for a longer period of time. But other than that, I really love this set. It is a great set, so definitely would recommend it if you are looking for a nice selection of colors, a large selection of colors for a good price point. I guess that's a very good choice. So yeah, you can follow the link if you like. I have a link down there in the description box. It is an affiliate link, let me just point that out. So if you purchase something through that link, I will get a little percentage of the sale. However, of course, it is not on you. So same price point for you compared to purchasing it via any other type of link or shop. So it is just a little tip for me. So yeah, and if you haven't done so yet, check out the other video where I review the Arteza watercolor brush pens. And other than that, I think that is it. Talk to you all again soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.